Dear learners, welcome to live teleconferencing session. In this session, we will discuss about scientific management approach. This is the one of the approach of the administrative theory. The scientific approach is the one of the most important theories in the field of management, or you can say administrative theory, because you know that it brought us scientific aspects of management, and it brought out the various scientific aspects of management and all. It is developed by F.W. Taylor in the early 20th century. Why this approach is more important is that it brought a major shift, that in the organization, how to work, what about the efficiency, how about the productivity were understood. So these are the things are that brought out by the scientific management approach. So that way it it brought out the systematic way of organizing tasks also and managing workers. So it brought a various aspect of management tools and technique. So in this session we will discuss about the key principles of scientific management and also characteristics of scientific management, and what are the criticism has been that raised for the scientific management approach. As I already said that this approach that emerged in the early 20th century under the leadership of F.W. Taylor, that it brought out it's a kind of, sometimes people used to say it is scientific management movement. It began the influence the administration, that it influenced the administration and management of organization at that time. So this what used to do is that this theory used to that analyzes and that synthesizes, and it also improve the work process of the organization also. So that's why Taylor is considered as the father of scientific management. Even though that the scientific management has profounded the Taylor has profounded the theory of scientific management, but in years to come, like Charles Babbage, Henry Tone, and Frederick Halsey and Henry Metcalfe, they have used the extensively the scientific methods and the techniques in the organization. The term scientific management was, that coined by Louis Brandeis in 1910 but it was later used by the Taylor to introduce the scientific technique, to make more organization more efficient. So that's why scientific management is called the Taylorism. So it is also in another aspect is called the Taylorism. There were various, like 1910 Louis Brandeis is coined the word scientific management. After that many people has used Charles Babbage, Henry Tone, Frederick Halsey, Metcalfe, but only that F.W. Taylor has given a brought out the various that operations, brought out the various techniques and tools. That's why scientific management theory is also known as the Taylorism. Now before going into know about the theory, now first we will understand that a biographical sketch of the F.W. Taylor. He was born in the town Philadelphia in Pennsylvania in 1856. His first job was the apprentice in a hydraulic works company in Philadelphia. Later he moved to the Midwell steel company, and here Taylor has worked in various capacity. Like for example, he worked as a laborer, he worked as a gang boss, he worked as a research director, and he worked as a chief engineer. So, and also that birthplace of the scientific management theory, that it was traced in the Midwell Steel Company only. which was one of the, this company used to be one of the armored plates producing company in America. That Taylor has started working at the age of 22. In 1877, Taylor observed that, that while he was working, he was observed that the worker consistently failed to give the required output of the work. So what he did was that he observed that there should be a, there is a need, there is need to devise the work method for the workers to get the required output. While working in the Midwell company, he thought that that they couldn't get the proper output from the employers. So what he has thought that we have to give the proper, that scientific, devisable scientific methods to improve the output of the employees. Then if you come into that, publications of, F.W. Taylor has published various books and articles. In the most important one is this peace rate system in 1895, and shop management in 1903, and the art of cutting metals in 1906, and the principles of scientific management 1911. Okay, these are the things are he brought. These are the works are based impact of the administrative practice, and that thought and practice in the both industrial and the government organization. In the piece rate system, he said that piece rate system. The word itself we can understood that it is a wage system linking workers paid directly to the output. Based upon their output, we have to pay. And the shop method. Shop method means explain method to improve efficiency and control in factory operations. And the art of cutting metals, it's a specific principles for cutting the metal techniques and the machinery performance, and the principles of scientific management came out in 1911. It was laid the that foundation for scientific management. It has emphasized the efficiency, task analysis, and productivity. So based on the book only, he introduced the concept of scientific management. So now first we have to go to the foundations of scientific management. While laying the foundation of scientific theory of management, he believed that principles of management and organization should be focused on the fixed laws, and scientific theory in an organized focus upon the physical nature and physiological nature of the work. Physical nature means it is stamina, that what you can, how kind of health conditions and various things, and physiological is it is how the must be calm, various mental health issues and all. So he want to that work is determined by the interrelationship between the physical work and physiological work. So mostly scientific approach, if you take into that, they have focused upon the lower level of the organization. Okay, not they haven't focused upon the top level or middle level. They have focused upon the lower level of the organization, that we can call the shop floor. So in his method, the one best way of that doing and that the designing the task. So this theory focused upon the empirical analysis of various processes. At the same time, that depends upon the result, were efficient and also effective. So daily, what he for a technical competence, there is a need for a rationalization, and there is and another thing is that specialization in the functioning of the organization. These are the foundations of scientific management. And another thing is that important concept is the soldiering. Taylor, what he did was that he was carried out an important study. And due to neglection of the work, what used to happen is the output was mostly restricted. So this is called the soldiering. So what he believed that, that he referred that to this phenomenon, that the part of the work, that soldiering, natural soldiering is referred to the, that it is a kind of a habit of workers, and mostly they used to take the work to the socio and organizational factors. Like for example, if you take into that, the person is not interested doing any work, and he is doing simply giving the work, that routinely he is doing the same work again and again without any ambition. He doesn't have any forward thinking. So So what used to happen, end of the day, that output would be social and organizational. Social and organizational factor used to be restrict the output of the workers. That is called the systematic soldiering. Like, that when it comes to social and organizational factor is that, for example, when you in the social, that family system and the organizational factor, due to various conflict with the employees, it used to restrict the output of the employers. So this is called the that systematic soldiering. So what Taylor believed that to increase the output of the organization, we have to reduce the soldiering through the scientific technique. So scientific theory of management, that believed that in order to improving the functioning of the organization, scientific principle needed to be applied to motivate and improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the employers and the organization. So when it comes to why we know that we have to need the further rationalization of the work method. What is the need? If you look into that, this one is the keystone of Taylor managerial thought, was that looking into the work methods and managerialism. Okay, he only that brought out the methods and managerialism. Taylor, while he was working in the steel plant, observed that workers has decided that on the output, and they used to conduct the various operations. The workers observed were not being managed, and they used to select their own tools and techniques. That tools and techniques to carry out the operation. If they choose the own method, and if they choose the tools and techniques on their own, it won't give the proper methods and all. So that's what he says, that the managerial supervisory role is that to know them, that how to getting done. And the workers also followed the rule of thumb methods. Rule of thumb method, in the sense, it's a kind of a that a routine thing which used to be followed based upon the experience. That it is based upon the experience, but there is no scientifically proven thing. So that's why it is called the rule of thumb. Most of the employees used to follow the rule of thumb because the farmers were used to do the same thing again and again. So these were the methods which were developed and over the years of experience, and the superior only could urge that workers do more work, but they couldn't urge or encourage the employers towards the output. So what Taylor described this method, that it is a kind of irrational method, and that there was an ineffective efficient arrangement for the output, and also so he emphasized the rationalization of the working method. So whatever it is, whether it's the industry, whether it is a normal thing, we have to be that we have to plan based upon the experience. It won't give the proper output and all. So here now that F.W. Taylor says that how the role of management and supervision. He said that we need a scientific management and scientific method. Now he coming into the point of role of management and supervision, and how this very important and all. Most of the time, that the Taylor has observed that there is a science in every work. Okay, there is a science in every work being done in organizational those days. So the work done by the whatever who are working, the method could be scientifically structured. So this scientific understanding of this work would come to the best worker, would help the working experience, that required the brain of the foreman to conduct a task to highest output level. So Taylor emphasized the role of management, that supervisor to attain a efficiency, and also which was a revolutionary idea in the later period. His idea of that inclusion of supervisor aroused a suspicion among the labor. It led to an emphasis on area of expertise, training, and preparation of management workers towards efficiency and all. So, and another important, principles of F.W. Taylor is that scientific management is a modern foundation for modern day for practice. That if you look into that various management expert, he was the first one, how the work has been done systematically. The scientific approach to management by, that F.W. Taylor, it was that it was a modern day managerial it was a modern day managerial thought and practices. In his approach, that it mostly focused upon the and um accomplishment and focused upon the empirical research and evaluation, and also focused upon the empirical equipments with the scientific management. The scientific approach itself, that it considers it a kind of a way of investigating. So it is called the investigating all endeavors scientifically. So the mostly that basic is that the goal accomplishment was governed by the systematic results and various aspects. So based upon the soldiering, foundations of science, and various based upon that, Taylor and various scientists were supported that scientific management approach has been that designed, and experiments has to be directed towards the best method to carry out the organization. And also the scientific management went beyond the designing of the technical system towards training. The focus mostly used upon the efficient that procedures. So this was the one of the efficient procedures was devised to improve the managerial responsibility for the appropriate measures. And also so based upon the various that discussion and all, F.W. Taylor has given the some kind of a principles of scientific management. The principles of scientific management, one is that the rule of thumb to be replaced with science of each element of work to be done by the worker. So here the rule of thumb, as I already mentioned, that rule of thumb is a practical guidelines. It is based upon the experience only. So the rule of thumb needs to be replaced with science for each element of work to be done by the worker. So and another principle is the best way, one best way. So identify the one best way of doing a particular task needs to be determined, so that it would help determine the standard output. And another one is that train and develop workers. Train and develop worker is that, as you all know, that whenever we are going for any work, first we used to get a fresher training, mid-level training, orientation training. There are various trainings and things also there. So the training is more important one. So as the best method, that if you look into that scientifically, we should train, and we have to develop, and we have to teach the workers towards the output. And another thing is that management of workers should cooperate. Okay, management of workers in the sense they have to work the various activities in the organization to achieve the desired output. And also another important thing is that divide the work equally. So the work should be equally divided. Okay, if you burden other employees, automatically it will affect the organizational balance. So the work should be equally divided among the managers and the workers. So the burden of responsibilities, that greater output lies both of them. So based on the above principles, we can say that one is that scientific management is a science, not a rule of thumb. Another one is the working together. Another thing is that cooperation, not just for it's a individual and a responsibility. And another principle is the maximum output in the place of restricted output. And another thing is that encouragement and development of each worker, that they have to greatest efficiency and the output. So therefore, that scientific management method approach, as per F.W. Taylor, that it involves a complete change of the part of the workers. It improves the fellow workers, employees, managers, and supervisor. It is more important that both the workers and the managers, that they have to manage how to conflict, that manage the conflict amongst them. So, and they have to work with the same goal, which is the organization has given. And also, so this cooperation and not conflict is the essence of the scientific management. So when we are grouping together, that most important component is that that cooperation, not the conflict. This is the most important concept of the scientific management approach. So now we are moving into the characteristics of scientific management. When it comes to characteristics, that Taylor has provided certain methods and techniques in the scientific management. In this, I'm going to discuss here about the 4 important characteristics. One is the functional foremanship, motion study, time study, and another one is the differential piece rate system. So first we will discuss about the functional foremanship. So what do you mean by functional foremanship? Taylor's notions of functional foremanship advocated that each worker be supervised and guided by the 8 functional foremen. Like functional foreman in the sense, it is a specialized supervisor. So under this idea, Taylor had observed that there has to be a planner and the planning unit. So first we need the organization planners and the planning divider, and he rejected the idea of single foremanship. Single foremanship in the sense it is a single boss, or you can say that he rejected the idea of unity of command. Unity of command in the sense the workers would receive order from only one superior. So that's why as he said that he needed 8 foremen. Okay, in that 8 foremen, one is that order of work, that focused upon the planning. The planning people used to do that order of work or route clerk, and the another one is that instruction card clerk, and another one is that time and cost clerk, and the shop disciplinarian. So this was the planning. And another, that execution of another foreman is that, like for example, out of work. Another, that execution is that they need a gang boss, they need a speed boss, they need a repair boss, and they need the inspector. So here in that, foremanship, he has mentioned it, 8 bosses he needed. So so each worker has a 8 functional bosses, and they have to be support and strengthen the progress towards the specialization and that separation of planning and executive process also. Here he has mentioned that if you look into the functional foremanship, he is against the unity of command. He need 8 bosses. At the same time, he also mentioning towards he also making the employees more towards the specialization. Instead of that focus upon the various work, you want to focus upon the employers on the only specialized work only. So if you look into that, another important characteristics is the motion study. Motion study is that it is a kind of a standardization of different methods. This involved that observation of all the motions in a particular that and also determine the best set of solution to that only. So the method of motion study, that and objective design preferable work method with the proper techniques, tools, equipments, and materials in facilitate hand and body motion. So that's why it is called the it was directed to devise one best way to do the work. And another important concept is characteristics is the time study. Time study is the that it determines the standard time required to complete the task. Like for example, now we have in the modern day organization, we have that various things also there. We have more technology, and we have more industrial equipments and various things also there. But during in the early 20th century, he only brought out the how to do the work, what is the best method way of do the work, and in the time study he mentioned that how much time to require to complete the one particular task. It also this more time study realizes that the time and motion study that measures analyzes long each allotment should be to work, and that when you know about the determine the standard of time, so you will understand the planning of daily tasks, that so that you can set the setting of performance standards and the improving efficiency. And also, so even though it is that if you look into that various that motion study, time study, it looks that even though it is under more than 100 years, but still we are using the same techniques only. And another important concept is characteristics is the differential piece rate system. After F.W. Taylor, after developing time and motion study, he has linked the worker payment to output. Okay, payment based upon the output. You can say that performance based system. So the payment was done by the based upon the output using the piece rate system. So he suggested that payments to the workers by the piecemeal on the basis of standards by the time and motion study. So the piece rate system by guided by towards motivation of the workers. Like for example, if you look into that, if they give more target, if it is a target based work, or you can say that piece rate system, based upon the work you will get a money, in the sense automatically that employees used to motivate on their own. So both the workers and supervisor, they have to work with the mutuality of interest to gain the common economic rewards. So workers were paid a that very low price up to standard, and they got the large bonus based upon the standard and higher piece rate above the standard also. So Taylor emphasized that the worker were scientific selection, and they have to improve the trainings and techniques, and that and also they have to maintain the standards. So there are various kind of a thing has been introduced in the differential piece rate system to motivate the employees. And also, and if you look into that, these are the 4 characteristics, that is the functional foremanship, motion study, time study, and differential piece rate system. So towards the end, there is one thing is that criticisms of scientific management. So whatever the theory is, whether it's a good or bad, there is some kind of a criticism is there. If you look into that, the first itself I said that the study is mostly focused upon the shop floor of the management. It is not focused upon the focused upon the overall administrative structure of the organization. The mostly this that decision is focused upon the restricted up to shop level floor. And these are approach viewed organization as the mechanical system and overlooked the human element. It focused the efficiency of the organization and perceived the worker as a machine. Okay, because if you look into the time and motion study and the differential piece rate system, so what used to happen that people sometimes they used to work over a lot, and it used to create a unhealthy practices, and they have treated as a human being as a machine. And also, and consider like in the differential piece rate system, money is the only motivator, and used to that it neglecting the social psychological factor and the social factor. It used to be mentioned by the Elton Mayo, Bernard and Fallett. And that another thing is that this approach used to be heavily vehemently opposed by the workers and the trade union. They thought that it used to be a threat to their rights and the informal activity. And also, and another thing is that it is mostly opposite to the managers, that it scientific methods used to reduce the judgment, and it used to make a added pressures. And also, so the problem is that it was the first time they are introducing the methods and techniques. So there was a kind of that problem over the workers also, trade unions also, and the management aspects also. So towards the end, that if you look into that, what are the key takeaway from this, that the scientific management is introduced the scientific methods to improve the organization. It has talks about the modern day tools like standardization, planning, and the scientific organization. And it has suggested that the rigor and discipline, and mostly the important concept is that if bring out the efficiency with the human element in the organization. And also, so this was the that key takeaway from the scientific management approach. So thanks a lot.